Night is when the management fails most completely. This is the structural reality that underlies everything this piece examines. The specific, predictable, entirely consistent vulnerability of the avoidance suppression system to the conditions that night creates. The management protocol runs on resources. It requires the continuous allocation of attentional capacity, cognitive bandwidth, the specific interior energy of someone who is actively, if unconsciously, working to prevent the full weight of certain feelings from landing at full weight. The management is not passive. It is the ongoing, effortful, resource-consuming operation of a self-protective system that has been running so long and so automatically that the effort has become invisible to the avoidant themselves, present in the fatigue of a day's end, in the specific quality of heaviness that descends when the distraction resources have been depleted, but not legible to the avoidant as the cost of the suppression, rather than simply the ordinary tiredness of a day that has been lived. Night removes the distraction. The work is done. The social engagements have ended. The activity that the hyper-efficiency was generating as a management strategy, examined in the hidden signs of suffering peace, has run its course for the day. The noise that fills the hours and redirects the attention from the interior to the exterior is quiet. And in the quiet, the management system, now without the external resources that supplement its function, begins to operate at reduced capacity. What surfaces when the management operates at reduced capacity is what the management was consuming its resources to prevent from surfacing, and at night, in the specific, undefended quiet of the hours when the avoidant is most vulnerable to their own interior, what surfaces is you. The first thing the avoidant secretly does at night when they miss you is replay. Not the curated highlights of a relationship, not the best moments, the warmest memories, the specific instances of genuine connection that the missing tends to organize around. The replay is less selective than that. It includes the ordinary moments, the specific texture of an unremarkable evening that carried the ambient quality of your presence, the particular quality of a conversation that had no special significance except that it was with you, the specific way you engaged with something, an idea, a piece of news, a moment in your own life, that revealed in the revealing the particular quality of your mind and your way of being in the world that the avoidant's perceptive interior was receiving with more attention than they allowed themselves to acknowledge at the time. These ordinary moments are what the missing most specifically reaches for, because the ordinary moments are the ones that communicate the most honest information about what genuine daily life with someone actually contains. The extraordinary moments, the moments of highest warmth or deepest connection, carry their own weight and are replayed with their own quality. But it is the ordinary moments that reveal whether the absence is the absence of something genuinely livable, whether the specific daily texture of being around someone is something the interior is reaching for, whether the missing is for an idea of the person or for the actual, specific, particular reality of their existence. The avoidant replays the ordinary and discovers, in the replaying, that it is the ordinary they are missing most specifically, not the connection at its most extraordinary, the ordinary presence, the ambient quality of being around someone whose particular way of existing was something the avoidant's interior had, without permission, become accustomed to in the specific way that the interior becomes accustomed to things that are genuinely good. The second thing is the composing of the unsent message. This is perhaps the most specifically avoidant behavior in the entire catalogue of what the missing produces. The specific, entirely consistent, almost universal practice of the avoidant composing the communication they cannot send. The message exists fully. It is not a vague impulse or an unarticulated feeling. It is a specific, detailed, often remarkably honest communication that the avoidant constructs in the privacy of the night, and that contains, with a directness and a completeness, that their management-governed daytime communications never approach, what they actually feel and what the missing actually contains, and what they would say if the vulnerability the saying required was something their system could currently permit. The message is composed in the mind, sometimes in drafts that are typed and deleted, sometimes in the notes application where things are written that are not supposed to be found, sometimes simply in the interior, the full, specific, articulate communication existing in the place where unexpressed things live, complete in its honesty, unavailable for transmission. What the unsent message contains is the things examined in the letter pieces. The acknowledgement of the value, the recognition of the inadequacy of the response to the value, the specific named instances of treatment that the regret is most specifically about, the direct first-person vulnerability requiring statement of what the missing feels like and what the person means. The message is the avoidance interior speaking without the management's editorial function. It says true things, complete things, things that would, if they arrived, change something. They do not arrive. The morning comes. The management reassembles. The vulnerability that the night permitted is no longer permitted. The message is deleted or filed in the notes application or simply allowed to remain in the interior where it was composed, carrying the weight of the truth that was said in the only safe container the avoidance system currently provides, the completely private, absolutely unshared, management-free hours of the night. The third thing is the searching. Not the physical searching, not anything that requires action in the world beyond the avoidant and their device in the specific privacy of the night hours. The searching that the night makes possible and that the day, with its management resources operating and its self-sufficiency, narrative requiring maintenance, prevents. The looking at what you are doing, at the evidence of your life as it is being lived, at the specific, visible, monitoring system registering quality of your current existence. The searching has a specific quality that distinguishes it from the ordinary, casual awareness of a past connection's continuing existence. It has the focused, deliberate, resource allocating quality of someone who has directed significant interior attention toward its object. The avoidant is not glancing, they are looking. With the specific, unhurried, management offline quality of someone who has given the interior permission, in the privacy of the night, to do what it has been wanting to do in every interaction since the connection changed. What the avoidant is looking for is the same thing examined in the obsession piece. The evidence of your current life, your current self, the specific quality of how you are existing in the world now, whether you are well, whether you are flourishing, whether the life being lived carries the specific, visible quality of someone who has, this is what the searching is most specifically looking for, genuinely moved forward. The genuinely moved forward evidence produces the specific, compound, night-specific interior event that is the most honest available window into what the avoidance missing actually contains. The evidence of your flourishing generates, in the avoidance interior, two things simultaneously. The relief that is the avoidance form of caring, the genuine gladness that the person they care about is well, and the specific, devastating, management cannot contain it weight of the recognition that the flourishing is happening without them. That the life being visibly, genuinely lived is a life that has found its fullness in the absence of the avoidance contribution to it. This simultaneous gladness and devastation is the avoidance missing in its most honest form, the two things coexisting because genuine caring and genuine loss are both present and neither can be reduced to the other. The gladness is real, the devastation is real. The night is the only time the management is sufficiently offline for both to be felt at their actual size simultaneously. The fourth thing is the lying awake with the question, the specific, recurring, night-returning, management-resisting question that the avoidance interior keeps arriving at in the hours when the narrative frameworks are most depleted and the honest accounting of things is most possible. What if? Not the elaborate scenario-building version of the question that the daytime mind sometimes permits as a controlled exploration. The simple, direct, two-word version that contains the entire reckoning in its compression. What if the management had not been running? What if the withdrawal had not happened? What if the moments of genuine connection had been received as what they were, instead of being processed as intimacy pressure requiring management? What if the rules had been broken not by the super-empath's detachment, but by the avoidant's own genuine choosing? What if the avoidant had been capable, at the time when the capability would have mattered, of the thing they are now, in the privacy of the night, fully capable of wanting? The question does not have a useful answer. The avoidant knows this. The night knows this. The question is not asking for an answer. It is the interior's way of sitting with the full weight of the thing that the daytime management prevents from being fully sat with. The specific, irreversible, consequence of choices, quality of the loss. Not the loss as something that happened, the loss as something that was built over time through the accumulated operation of a system that was optimized for the avoidance protection at the consistent cost of the connection's flourishing. The lying awake with the question is not productive in any conventional sense. It does not resolve. It does not produce the changed behavior that the reckoning it represents would theoretically call for. In most cases, the morning comes and the management reassembles and the question is managed back into the place where manageable things live, and the day proceeds with the composed efficiency that the avoidance exterior presents to the world. But the question was asked, in the night, in the privacy of the management's reduced capacity, in the specific, honest, unwitnessed hours when the avoidant is most available to the truth of their own interior. You do not see any of this. That is the nature of what is secret, the specific, carefully maintained privacy of the avoidant's most genuine interior events. The night is the only time the management cannot fully prevent the genuine things from being felt. And the genuine things felt in the night are not transmitted. They are contained by the morning, by the reassembled management, by the self-sufficiency narrative that requires the daytime presentation to be consistent with a person who is adequately fine and moving through the loss with the characteristic composure that the avoidance presentation has always maintained. But the night is real. What happens in it is real. The replaying and the unsent message and the searching and the question are real. The missing that generates them is real. The interior that produces them at night and contains them by morning is real, carrying you in the specific, private, management-free way of the hours when the avoidant is most honestly themselves. You live in their nights, in the replay, in the message that exists and is never sent, in the search that happens and leaves no trace, in the question that recurs and is never answered, in the specific, quiet, entirely unwitnessed reality of an interior that misses you in the only hours it is fully permitted to know how much.